the dramatic Centre versus Mamata fight. Supreme Court today directed Kolkata Police Commissioner Rajiv Kumar to appear before the CBI and fully cooperate in the investigation. The Chief Justice of India has directed that no coercive action is to be taken against him, including an arrest.
Honorable Chief Justice of India does not find any difficulty if Rajiv Kumar is asked to join the probe and cooperate with the CBI, as the CBI initially had been asking for. Top Court has also alongside ordered for no coercive actions to be taken against the police commissioner.
Minutes after the Supreme Court's directive, both the Centre and the West Bengal government claimed moral victory.
We are so grateful. We are so obliged because it will strengthen the moral of the officials. Whatever Supreme Court has said, we are really welcome the verdict, and that is absolutely correct. That we wanted.
सुप्रीम कोर्ट के आदेश में स्पष्ट है कि उनके पुलिस कमिश्नर को अपीयर होना होगा सीबीआई के सामने, और कलकत्ता में नहीं शिलोंग में अपीयर होना होगा। ये बहुत ही ईमानदार जांच के लिए बहुत ही उचित आदेश माननीय उच्च न्यायालय।
3 days after the high-voltage drama which unfolded outside the Kolkata Police Commissioner's residence and resulted in the West Bengal Chief Minister sitting on a dharna, Mamata Banerjee has finally called off her dharna. But the battle between the Centre and State over the CBI row is far from over. The entire episode has once again raised questions that both the Centre and State government must answer. Is the CBI being used to level political scores? And is the State Police being used like henchmen? Let's debate.
Joining me right now, Abhishek Manu Singhvi, who argued for West Bengal and the Police Commissioner in Supreme Court. Mr. Singhvi, good evening and thank you for joining us. My first question to you is this. Both the central government and Mamata Banerjee are calling this a moral victory. Do you agree it's a moral victory of sorts for both parties?
Look, let me tell you the legal aspects, the political and the practical aspects, and you judge for yourself.
Yes.
I don't think it's just a moral victory. I think it's a complete victory, or largely a complete victory for us, for the following reasons. And of course, you can discount the fact that I was appearing as a counsel, but I'll try to be as objective as possible. Look, there are 3 to 5 letters on record, including the last one being 18th of August 18 and thereafter also, by the police commissioner saying, me and my entire team is ready to come. We will sit wherever you want in Kolkata, centralized place, and cooperate with you. So this is something he's been offering for the last 2.5 years directly in writing. All that the court, with a great amount of pragmatism, has done, has converted our offer into an order. So there is nothing new in it. The court has largely agreed with our own offer.
Mr. Singhvi, the CBI and its counsel and Mr. K.K. Venugopal have argued that they were only there to question to begin with and not to arrest, which is why they had no warrant or court order. Would it have been possible if Mr. Kumar had cooperated from the beginning that this entire episode, including the dharna, could have been completely avoided?
Now, the first letter you called me was for giving a date 1 day after Deepavali in 2017. The man says there is Deepavali, give me any other date, I'll come on that date. So this is just a harassment technique. Have you ever seen a CBI landing up on a Sunday after not responding to the police commissioner's letter saying I'm available and saying that he's absconding? And tell me one thing, if Mr. Venugopal and Mr. Mehta did not want this, why is the application use the word surrender? The application says in prayer, surrender, in writing. Do you think surrender is used for a witness or somebody you want to arrest? I can guarantee, but for the Supreme Court protection, they would want to arrest him.
Well, Mr. Venugopal has also argued that there are doubts over the documents handed over to the CBI from the Kolkata Police Commissioner as the SIT chief, and call records that were given were incomplete. And he might also be in contempt of court, which is a further matter the court has said it will admire. Yes, it will examine. I beg your pardon. Go ahead. What is your defense on the matter of the data records?
Did the court, Did the court accept this? Did the court accept this? It is only issued notice. We'll file a very strong reply. The court has not accepted the submission. That's an allegation. We have got at least 8 documents with a list of things submitted. Everything possible is submitted. Mr. Venugopal mentions 3 things. The CDR, the receipt, we have submitted it. They take it after 4 years. They ask for it after 4 years. We have documents about every possible document being given. What is the SIT to do with it when the SIT is disbanded in 2014? Where is the investigation of the SIT after 2014 that will collect new material? And after 2014, please ask the number of, and I'm making a political point, number of people who are directly alleged and implicated in the scam who have joined the BJP. Today, across the country, unfortunately, Faye, if you want to be insulated from legal action, you must join the BJP or surrender to them, prostrate yourself before them. Everybody associated with the BJP is to see greater hope.
Mr. Singhvi, isn't this proof that the CBI and the Kolkata Police have just effectively become pawns in this political game? This entire opportunity was an opportunity for political one-upmanship, but it is the police on both ends that have lost credibility in return.
There is no doubt. There is no doubt that there is a lot of politics here. It is all unfortunately started by the BJP. Look, elections are around the corner. You know the presence of this political party in that state. You must therefore create a chimera, an illusion of wrongdoing. The object is not Rajiv Kumar. The object is to insinuate that the Chief Minister is complicit. Tell me one thing, Faye. For last 2013 to 19, for 6 years, no complicity of the Chief Minister is found. Now suddenly you want to show the Chief Minister to be complicit. Were you sleeping? Is it like Mr. Modi's government's remembrance of agricultural distress and Santa Claus sops 2 months before the elections? That all this is happening just now? You are not able to find a single piece of evidence that you are now going around talking of paintings auctioned by her. Why? It's all obviously politics. You are right. But by whom? In what manner? By the ruling party, because the ruling party controls the levers, the yantra and the tantra of these agencies.
Right, that was a conversation with Abhishek Manu Singhvi, the lawyer who represented West Bengal and the police officer in question in Supreme Court. And we do understand the Supreme Court has instructed the Commissioner of Kolkata Police to appear before the CBI and to cooperate entirely with the investigation. Now, interestingly, both sides are calling this a moral victory. Now, while politics will scrabble and scramble to see who has the moral high ground, at the end of the day, where does this leave the police? Are state and central police forces just being used as pawns right now in political games? And does it now leave them with even less credibility than they had before they started? On your screen is our correspondent Randeep, who actually asked a question of Rajiv Kumar, the police commissioner of Kolkata, who has refused to comment on the matter. Joining me on the show, Dushyant Dave, Senior Advocate, Supreme Court; Nalin Kohli, spokesperson for the BJP; Aishwarya Bhati, Aishwarya Bhati is an advocate, so is Kailash Vasudev, a Senior Advocate with the Supreme Court; Rahul Chakrabarti, political analyst who supports the TMC; and Ram, Senior Journalist; and Shama Mohammed for the Congress. I welcome you to this conversation and I thank you for your time. Nalin Kohli, you heard the comments that were made by Abhishek Manu Singhvi on the channel. He basically says that this was entirely an attempt to intimidate and to harass Rajiv Kumar. What is your response to that?
Well, I was in court, as so was he. Of course, he was appearing for the West Bengal government. I was merely observing what were the proceedings in the court. And I don't agree with that. He's entitled to have his point of view, obviously, because he's engaged by the West Bengal government for this matter. But the facts of the matter are completely different. Let's revisit them in a very simple way. This matter is being investigated by the CBI because the Honorable Supreme Court gave it to the CBI and ordered it in 2014, and the final judgment came in 2015. The West Bengal government's SIT was praised also in that judgment, but was clearly unequivocally told cooperate with the CBI in terms of manpower, whatever is required. Since then, the CBI has sought to ask Mr. Rajiv Kumar to join it as a witness under Section 160. He chose not to for various reasons, unknown reasons, for whatever he deemed fit to be so. And since 2016 onwards, somewhere or the other, the government has stalled it. Sudipto Sen, one of the prime accused, raised the question that I have given laptops and there have been pen drives, etc. to them. These are not apparently forming part of the case diary in terms of the seizure memo. So ultimately, what is the CBI asking? Can we have all the material? Can we investigate this matter which has been given by the Supreme Court? And what is the West Bengal government and Mr. Rajiv Kumar doing? Preventing the material from going, stalling the matter. Why stall a matter in which 20 lakh people's earnings, savings have been wiped out? Some 35-40,000 crores. So instead of painting the CBI black, the question is to be asked, what is it that is the West Bengal government doesn't want exposed? That once that material goes to the CBI, it would create problems for them. And therefore, a chief minister, for the first time in the history of independent India, sits in a dharna for the police officer who is not assisting the CBI, which is supposed to be doing its task on the orders of the Supreme Court. And that's a victory of democracy. That's about preserving the constitutional propriety. And that's a victory when the Supreme Court says that we would like him to go and assist or join or meet with the CBI and give them and extend full cooperation with them.
But
So therefore, I am unable still to understand what is this about victory and defeat. It's about the investigation of a case, and that investigation must reach its logical end. And why does the West Bengal government not want it to reach the logical end?
All right, N. Ram, senior journalist, joins us as well on Skype. Mr. Ram, thank you for joining us. Do you have a response to Nalin Kohli's arguments? Because Abhishek Manu Singh, we talked about how Rajiv Kumar was named as a witness, and the treatment that the CBI had given him was not that of a witness, but that of the accused instead. Mr. Ram?
Yeah, no question about it. In fact, both counsel are taking sides. I think it's clear that neither the BJP nor the TMC has any respect for democratic norms. They are openly against democracy. The BJP is manipulating institutions, misusing institutions, primarily the CBI, the Enforcement Directorate, and so on, and income tax, to target selectively people it regards as hostile or its political adversaries. There's no question about it. On the other hand, Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee has pulled off a great drama because everyone knows that Sharada Chit Fund scheme, as well as the Rose Valley scam, are they have been covered up. Attempts are made to cover them up. And as has been pointed out on numerous occasions, some of those people have moved over to the BJP and are being protected and rewarded there. So nothing to choose in terms of morality between the two sides. But overall, I think Mamata Banerjee, through this drama supported by a lot of the opposition, that is anti-BJP forces and parties in the country, has pulled off a bit of a coup. But I think the CBI was terribly wrong in the way it went about this. And as you just mentioned, Faye, they didn't treat him as a witness. They made statements that said he's doctoring evidence. They treated him as more or less as an accused, and to land up at his house. You find police officers arresting each other. It happened with the CBI. It's happening at the state level. So what's happening to this institution? Are they independent? Are they observing the rule of law? This is absurd. And I think we have reached the lowest levels of functioning in a democracy when you
Yes.
Look at the rule of law.
Well, Mr. Kohli, I know you want to respond to N. Ram, but I have to just add to that. On one hand, you have the CBI on a Sunday showing up at the home of the commissioner instead of reaching him at his office, or instead of reaching or inviting him to meet them at a neutral ground. Secondly, on the last day of functioning of the interim chief, Nageshwar Rao, before waiting for the new chief to take over, a lot of this has been raised. The timing has been raised because this case, the Supreme Court asked the CBI to begin investigating in 2014. For 5 years, they haven't moved on that investigation, including Mukul Roy, who's part of your party. Isn't the timing and the procedure adopted by the CBI, doesn't it raise eyebrows?
These are tertiary, even not secondary arguments. And the beauty of a democracy is everyone's entitled to a point of view. And that point of view is to be respected. We may disagree with it. So when the merits of the case are to be thrown out of the window and to look at the substantive issue, then we have these conspiracy theories. They start taking center stage. Oh, there is something in the timing. Oh, going on a Sunday evening to his residence. I mean, perhaps some people work on Sunday evenings in their office and they expect that, if the CBI is finding an uncooperative witness, they probably will send him yet another summon or a notice and then say, we would like to come for a cup of tea maybe when you again turn it down the next time. And let's talk about the protection of democracy and police things. CBI officers herded into a bus forcibly, a lady manhandled. They are taken to Park Street Police Station, their mobile phones taken away. The joint director in his house locks himself up with his wife and daughter because there are people banging onto his doors to try and forcibly enter. It's only when an English channel calls him and it goes on national TV that he says that I've spoken to my officers in Delhi and they are probably moving the Supreme Court tonight itself, which news channels then take as breaking news, that shortly thereafter the CBI finds itself released from the custody of the West Bengal police. Was this for the preservation of democracy? Is this what federalism has been taken to be? So tomorrow, if a terrorist happened to be there and a state decides, no, we won't allow the CBI or the NIA to step in, you will be able to cross those boundaries. These are fine words.
Yes, but is that a fair analogy, Mr. Kohli?
Who will transcend it? There are courts. They will come in and do it.
A chief of the police commissioner of a city.
Why?
A police commissioner of a city as a witness being compared to a terrorist. Is that a fair? Is that a fair analogy?
No, I gave an example.
Okay.
And I would extend it to a political person. It could be a minister.
Okay.
Does it matter? The principle remains the same. I'm not saying Rajiv Kumar has to be compared to a terrorist. Certainly not. I'll be the last person to make that comparison. He's an officer of the force. He's made it to the IPS, obviously on a certain merit. But then his discharge of his official function is to be expected in the spirit of the law and the spirit of the Supreme Court judgment. Not based on what his political masters are saying to do, contrary to what has to be compliance of an investigation ordered by the Supreme Court. So let's not draw those lines. I'm not making rhetorical points here.
Yes, Kailash Vasudev to respond.
About Mukul Roy and people in the BJP. I'll answer that also straight.
One second, I'll come back to Mukul Roy. Mr. Kohli, I'll come back to Mukul Roy. I'll come back to Mukul Roy.
There is some material there.
Yes, I'll come back to Mukul Roy. I just want to give Kailash Vasudev an opportunity to respond to the points you raised. Mr. Vasudev, go ahead.
Evening. See, the situation is this. The CBI was asked to come into the picture in 2014 by the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court directed the CBI to make an immediate investigation into this 10,000 crores time, spreading over 4 or 5 states, Orissa, Tripura, Assam, Bengal, etc., because the state police were not acting. The CBI also did nothing for 4 years, and suddenly it gets active, which causes a certain amount of concern, because if they're not going to take steps in due course of time and hold back everything, coming close to the elections, you are going to come around and bring about a situation. This causes a lot of, it raises a lot of heckles, raises eyebrows as to what exactly is happening. On the other side, for a chief minister to turn around and sit in dharna against the investigation being launched against a particular police officer is again a very disturbing element, because the CBI eventually is doing its duty, whether you say that the behest of the government or the behest of otherwise. Actually, in this case, the CBI is acting at the instructions of the Supreme Court. Therefore, the contempt petitions. It has become a very dangerous trend today. One group supporting the CBI, one group supporting the local police, one group opposing the CBI. The entire rule of law is now under question. There is no investigative agency on whom you can rely. The CBI has had its own roughs. One director wanting to get rid of the other, one director wanting to be appointed the chief of the institution, the other being appointed as a self-appointed investigator into offences. So you see, today the situation is, I mean, should I say, sad for all of us in a democratic system with the rule of law. Everyone is doing everything to defeat the rule of law for personal gains. Politicians are doing it for their personal gains. You have an election coming up, so he said, look, I arrested so many people on charges of corruption. The other says, why are you arresting my officers? Because there's no corruption over here. I will defend the corruption in my state. We have got to now take an objective view of the whole situation, bring about a correct conclusion to the matter, and the Supreme Court's order directing that the CBI will interrogate this particular officer in Shillong is another matter which, as the Supreme Court has done in its wisdom, but I think it could have been done better if the investigation was done in the state where the whole matter takes place. The Supreme Court might have its reasons. But the fact of the matter is, on the whole, this is becoming a very sordid story. If there is nothing done for the purposes of checking the investigative agencies and ensuring they do their duties without fear of favor, nothing is going to happen. We are going to have cases filed, dropped after an election, cases instituted after an election, dropped before the next election. So nothing is going to come to a complete fruition as to what the situation is. This is what has happened in Sharda scam. 2019. Nothing happened, suddenly everything gets active.
Yes, everything.
When it gets active, it is stalled. So it's a situation where all of us in the whole system are now feeling the angst that there is no law and order within government for the purposes of protecting the law and order as it should be protected.
Right. I want to bring in the other members of the panel now.
The rule of law has been abandoned.
If I may, Shama Mohammed for the Congress. Basically, the rule of law has been abandoned. This entire episode was used for political gains. Mamata Banerjee perhaps presenting herself as some sort of prime ministerial candidate. Where does this leave the police, both in the state and the centre?
A couple of points here. One, we have to not forget the Sudipto Sen driver in 2015 said that the person who allowed Sudipto Sen to escape is Mukul Roy when the CBI was investigating. So why is Mukul Roy not being questioned when he is one of the main accused? You know, the police officer is not an accused. He is not being charge sheeted. So Mukul Roy is an accused. Then we have Hemanta Biswasa Sarma. His investigation also, he was also questioned in 2015. Sudipto Sen said that I had to pay him every month 20 lakhs to run this particular chit fund in Assam. So why is he not questioned? Is it that one joins the Bharatiya Janata Party, it is like taking a dip in the Ganga and coming out, you get cleansed? This is my question. So this is another thing is when the police officer, when they they went with 40 officers there.
11. And, they say they went with 11 officers.
Okay, there's section 17 of the Prevention of Corruption Act, in which you say that when officers of certain caliber are questioned, arrested or investigated, you need to get the permission of the Metropolitan Magistrate. My question is, why didn't they do it in a right way? They could have done it. But why this, you know, just before Akhilesh and Mayawati got into the Gadbandhan, there was a raid at Akhilesh's house with the CBI there. So if you look at it, many of our ministers, you know, have been ex-ministers, cabinet ministers have been raided by the CBI. But why no raids? Why the cases of the Bellery brothers, you know, the Reddy brothers in the mining scheme, on the mining scam? You know, how was it closed? You remember how it was closed? Due to technical reasons, because the mining, it happened in Karnataka and was exported from the port in Goa, but there was the Karnataka ore mixed with the Goan ore, so they had to close the case. So they are less loose because they had to be in the assembly elections last year. So these are the questions. These selective, you know, going behind opposition leaders, you know, it's not about them. Vyapam and other cases.
All right, Shama, you made your point. Okay.
So let's also investigate all the cases.
Okay, you've made your point. Rahul Chakrabarti is a political analyst speaking for the TMC. Mr. Chakrabarti, wouldn't you say that Mamata Banerjee took advantage of this situation to turn it into a political tamasha and a spectacle to present herself as leader of coalition?
See, this has happened in 19th of this January when Mahagathbandhan took place in the brigade. There's a big rally there. For the last 4 years, what they are doing? What my question is this, and this is to inform you that Rajiv Kumar never told this that she is not going to cooperate, because he has written more than 5 letters to the CBI that out of Kolkata and out of Delhi, he wants some neutral place and he is going to cooperate. But I don't know why CBI is so rigid. What is the reason behind it? My learned friend Mr. Kohli is telling so many things. So may I ask him one thing? What about the Prime Minister, when Honorable Prime Minister has told someone Bhai, Mehul Bhai, and he just flew away from the nation? Mr. Vijay Mallya, Mr. Nirav Modi.
Stay on point.
And what about the big ghotalas that are there? So why?
No, but wouldn't you say, hang on, Rahul Chakrabarti, that Mamata Banerjee not allowing the CBI to do its job was obstruction of justice?
Yes. No, this is, she wanted to save the democracy. She wanted to save the
Save the democracy from what?
As, explain me why this is happening.
Save the democracy from what?
This is not the rule. If he's a police commissioner, see, he's the police commissioner. There is a constitution. There has to be taken the prior permission from the authority, and without any papers, without anything, this rush to the commission house.
Okay, so 11 CBI officers came to the police commissioner's house. Is that the breakdown of democracy?
See.
Are you saying that the Indian democracy completely crumbles when 11 CBI officers come to the police commissioner's house on a Sunday?
40 officers are there. Not only that, we are talking about the intention, what they had.
How do you know what their intention was?
Intention there, because this is very clear. Like other, constitutional institution, they are all using CBI and all the constitutions as the political weapon, and this should not.
No, so tell me something, Rahul Chakrabarti. If you said this is about the intention, how do you know what the intention was? Because the CBI has presented to the Supreme Court that the intention was to simply ask questions.
Because they are very much impartial. Because they are very partial. They should be impartial, but they are very partial. So what about Hemant Biswa Sharma? Do you know that Mr. Sudipto Sen, he's in jail now. In his diary, there's a ghotala of 3 crore rupees. And there's Mr. Hemant Biswa Sharma. What about him?
Okay.
What about Babur Shupio?
Okay, so so whataboutery is a great way to answer a question, but that's not the answer to the question that I have asked. Aishwarya Bhati, advocate to the Supreme Court. Do you believe that right now, the way things stand, neither the Kolkata Police nor the CBI has covered itself in glory? These institutions of policing are being used by politicians.
Well, there's no doubt about it that it has been very sad the way institutions have clashed. It should not happen. We have a very clear federal system which turns unitary in times of extraordinary times, and therefore the institutional balance is very, very important. But let me also take you to something positive. I think I agree with all that has happened. I mean, all the panelists have spoken about how sad it has been, the developments for the last 2 days. But today is a very positive day, with the West Bengal government also claiming victory, despite a clear Supreme Court direction to the Commissioner of Police to go and participate in the inquiry, in the investigation. The Supreme Court has directed the CBI not to take any coercive action, but the Supreme Court has also issued notice in the contempt petitions, because this investigation by CBI was happening under the directions of the Supreme Court. So it was not like CBI was doing this on its own. Of course, a lot of things can be said about the timing and the manner in which things have happened. But like Nalinji has said, these are all tertiary issues, not even secondary. I completely agree with him. And I think what's important is we need to understand that rule of law has to prevail. Today was the first step towards the rule of law being restored and being prevailed over it. Now that the investigation, there should be a full, free and fair participation in the investigation. In any case, the notice that was issued to the Commissioner of Police was only under Section 160 of the CRPC, which is a notice for a witness. It was not calling him as an accused person. In fact, without investigation, without ascertaining what role anybody has played, nobody can be called as an accused person. In any case, he's not an accused in the Sharda scam or the chit fund scam.
Okay.
The allegations that are made, the arguments that were made by the Attorney General in the Supreme Court today was clearly pointing towards destruction of evidence during the investigation of the scam. So a lot needs to come out, and I think we all need to just sit back a little and allow the investigating agency to do its job, and so that the truth is out in the open.
That would be easy to do if the politicians backed off, but my problem is with the political interference with this entire matter. I want to open this up now for rebuttals from our panelists. Mr. Ram, do you have a rebuttal to the arguments that have been put forward? At the end of the day, are we compromising our police?
The issue, Faye, is independence, the lack of independence in criminal investigations. It stands out. That's the big issue. And as today on your program, we discussed why the Lokpal has not been given effect to, why there's no Lokpal today. The whole issue hinges on independence. Now, how do you trust a CBI which went through all that tamasha? There are good officers. There have been good officers. I can name some of them, Karthikeyan, there are a number of others. but in the past who have upheld the rule of law. But today, in matter the way they approach it, the way the investigation stalls and then speeds up, the timing of it, the manner in which they go and question a witness, all this creates profound doubt in the minds of people that there's any kind of fair play involved in these investigations, and it's very unfortunate. And the same thing can be said about the state police.
Yes, absolutely. Mr. Nalakoli, let's come back to Mukul Roy and Hemant Biswa Sarma. Why are these two individuals who are prime accused in this particular case, where we're saying that the police commissioner now has been put in his place by the Supreme Court?
They're not prime accused.
Okay, they are accused? Accused in this case. Why are they members of the BJP?
They are accused, but not prime accused. There's a difference between the two.
Okay. Why are they members of the
Two
BJP?
things. One is Mr. Enram has made a fair point with regard to, I'm coming to that.
Sure.
Mr. Enram has made an important and a fair point, which is about the wider issue in terms of, policing. And we need to bear in mind that this is something that eventually has to be addressed, because the entire criminal administration of justice starts with actually good policing. And from the Prakash Singh judgment onwards, there has been a lot of talk. There have been several commissions before that also. But because law and order comes as a state subject, and it really is seen as a power subject, because the police is the instrument through which many things, positive and negative, otherwise happen. And it's a sad situation in that, because eventually in today's world, policing needs to be addressed. And I hope that it would eventually be addressed, because till that is done, we will have these kind of situations from time to time. It doesn't also mean that the police does not have good officers. And that's also a fair point, because whether it's the CBI, state police, there are officers who, despite this insurmountable challenges that appear to others, they do a great service by chasing out, catching that criminal, getting a terrorist to book. And look at the Fodder scam. It was the same CBI, but the CBI has been in the news for more than wrong reasons rather than good new reasons over the last year or so.
That is unfortunate.
So that's on a wider issue. Coming back to your question with regard to Dr. Hemanta Biswa Sarma and to Mr. Mukul Roy. Well, first, Dr. Hemanta Biswa Sarma has today tweeted, and his tweet is out on the record, which he says that I did all of this. I was called, I went and met with the CBI, investigated prior to my joining the BJP. And that tweet is there today. I've retweeted it too. With Mukul Roy, he was also investigated during the BJP period. Now the question will arise, why is he not investigated simultaneously? Now Article 14 does not apply in terms of saying you need to investigate this person also if you are investigating this person.
No, that was not my question.
The material is being sought for. The slowdown of the case is essentially, I'm finishing. The slowdown of the case is essentially because the West Bengal government is not handing over all the material.
Okay.
No agency can investigate without all the material. The starting point is the material, from where you then expand your investigation to take the linkages. And the last comment on what Ms. Shama Mohammed said about the BJP, what is this? Is this some kind of a Ganga in which they come and get clean? Well, certainly if they are coming from the Congress party, any river they will have a bath in, they'll be cleaner.
Okay, so let me ask the question again. My question was not one second.
Can I rebut?
I will give you an opportunity to rebut. I just want to finish this line of questioning. My question was this: Mukul Roy is an accused in this scam, is still under investigation, has not been cleared. Why was he made a member of the BJP? Did it not concern you that he's being investigated in a scam where 1.7 million people were defrauded?
No, why not? And I'll say this, I'll say it absolutely unequivocally. I'll say it unequivocally on channel, absolute clarity. We should get our fundamentals of the democratic system clear. The democratic system and the legal system both have one fundamental. You are innocent unless proven guilty, and that applies to Mr. Lalu Prasad Yadav also, who enjoyed it till he was convicted. That's the fundamental of the system. And unless the law says you are guilty till you prove yourself innocent, and that exception is there in some cases. Like in the Dowry Act, it is reversed to those who are accused of asking for dowry. So there are laws. There are in certain other criminal procedures where there are.
But the
second
CBI
part about is
did find it necessary, did feel it necessary to show up.
The morality question. I'm coming straight to that too.
Okay.
I'm coming to that. No, I'll tell you. The second thing is also fair, and I'll say it again unequivocally and honestly on television, that in democracy, morality and democratic ideals have to walk together. Sometimes they may appear in conflict, but at the end of the day, it is all about politics. You can't only be in politics also without the winnability factor. So as and when someone is declared guilty and the courts, the BJP has stood it. Our own party president, he was caught in an unfortunate incident, seen on camera taking a bribe. The legal system went with it. We didn't interfere with it. He eventually was incarcerated. So, I mean, that's how it is. But ask anybody else who succumbs to or who submits to the procedure. Mr. Modi went 9 hours and was interviewed and investigated by the SIT. How many other leaders in other parties are willing to say they go to the courts, prevent it, no, we will not join the investigation? So, I think it's all has to be seen in totality.
All right, opening this up for rebuttals. Mr. Ram, do you want to respond to that?
Can I come in?
Yes,
please. I need to come in.
Shama, go ahead.
Can I respond, please? It's my... Now I need to respond. A couple of things is, one, he said is that everybody is innocent and proven guilty. But I was just on a debate right now where your party spokesperson was calling Mr. Vadra corrupt, he's a criminal, all sorts of things. So for our party people, then Mr. Chidambaram is always called, when I go on a debate by your party spokespersons, corrupt. So it's a different rule for people from who are in your party and people who are from our party. Number two is Mukul Roy, for your kind information, is a prime accused. This is the last time I know it. He's a prime. I don't know. Once he joined the Bharatiya Janata Party, the prime was removed and he became just an accused. The other point the lady said was, we must follow the rule of law. Was the rule of law followed on midnight when Mr. Alok Verma was removed in a midnight coup and you put a Nageshwar Rao there? Why wasn't the rule of law not followed? Because that person was going to expose the scam, the Rafale scam in the morning, Mr. Alok Verma. So why no CBI probe into that? Why haven't you done anything? Nothing on that, you know, no JPC, no CBI, nothing. So it is different when it comes to their party and when it comes to the Congress party. So this is the two different yardsticks. And also the Reddy brothers. Why are they there? And your own chief ministerial candidate of Karnataka admitted that yes, we cannot win that area without them. So we are going to have them, irrespective of them being criminals or accused. They don't care. So don't give this gyan.
All right,
about the
you've
party,
made your point.
Mr.
Yes.
Nalin Kohli.
Yes. And Ram, I want to bring in Ram. Mr. Ram, would you believe, would you agree with Shama Mohammed?
I'm going to make a quick point. I'm not giving gyan.
Okay, no.
Sorry, may I?
One second, I just want to bring in Mr. Ram. Mr. Ram, do you agree that the CBI's treatment here...
Do you want me to come in or Mr. Ram to come in?
Mr. Ram, do you agree that the CBI's treatment here of Mukul Roy and the CBI's treatment of Rajiv Kumar, who's a police commissioner, were actually contrary, because Rajiv Kumar is a witness and not an accused, whereas Mukul Roy is an accused and has not been questioned yet?
Yeah, he's being treated. Mukul Roy has been treated sweetly. There's no question about it. On that, I disagree with Mr. Kohli, but he made a very fair point. I'm very pleased that he recognized the lack of independence in investigation as one of the big weaknesses of our criminal justice system. And I thank him for that acknowledgement. Faye, there's one other thing, matter of fact here. People assume that the Supreme Court is monitoring this investigation. It is true that the Supreme Court ordered the investigation. But as far as I know, unless I'm mistaken, unlike the Gujarat investigation,
it's directed.
I don't think the Supreme Court is monitoring this on a regular basis.
It's not monitoring. You're right.
Yeah, it is not.
You're right, Mr. Ram. It is not monitoring. You're right, Mr. Ram.
But people then say...
You're right. It's not monitoring. It's just directed.
Yes, let him finish speaking, please.
Yeah. Therefore, the presumption that everything the CBI does is covered by the Supreme Court's orders or protection is a false assumption, because the Supreme Court has a direction. It wants the investigation to go forward in a fair and transparent manner, and witnesses to cooperate, the accused to cooperate. But not all that the CBI does in this case, gets the legitimacy that flows from a Supreme Court order. That is an important point to make and highlight, I think. As for the state police, the less said about it, the better.
Right. I also want a point of view from Kailash Vasudev. Unfortunately, Mr. Vasudev, and Mr. Kohli said something very important. He mentioned winnability, and this has been an answer we rarely do politicians own up to winnability. But the truth is, innocent until proven guilty is the standard by which the courts decide. But shouldn't we hold our politicians to a higher standard?
In this context, I must remind you, the Supreme Court also called upon the Election Commission at one stage to frame laws with regard to cases which are pending against politicians.
Yes.
It has not been done. It will never be done. Vulnerability is an aspect which comes into play at the cost of the other man. You are taking advantage of a Supreme Court order at a point of time when everything is moving on to vulnerability. If you're going to time everything at the elections and the hustings, you are making a big mistake as far as the rule of law is concerned. All the political parties who are participating in your debate today admit to the fact that the CBI has been doing things at a point of time when the political party in power finds it necessary. If the CBI is going to act by a government under a particular political party to take action against the others, we have totally defeated the concept of an independent CBI, which was the essential cause of forming the CBI in the 1940s. It came about after the Second World War, during the Second World War. The purpose of the Second World War investigation was to eliminate corruption. As of today, the political parties indulge in corruption. They use the CBI for propagating corruption, and they do not do it for the purposes of arresting corruption. The total investigations of the CBI lead to about 60% convictions, 40% getaway. And in this, there is so much delay that the very purpose of the CBI stands defeated. The recent imbroglio, the director of the CBI, deputy director of the CBI, slinging stones at each other, is that an independent agency? Is that the function of an agency which is the prime investigating agency, given kudos in a number of judgments by the court, relied upon by the court to say that, look, go investigate because the state is failing? If you're going to permit this to happen, we are not going to have a rule of law, we are going to have anarchy, and we are going to have political parties who, while coming into power, will take advantage of this to defeat the very necessary elements of a free and independent investigating system, as also a nation which can stand up and say that we are not corrupt. Corruption is ingrained in us, it has been propagated and will be propagated for vulnerability.
Mr. Kohli, last question, quick question. Your party came into power promising us a Brashtachar Mukt Bharat, a Bharat, that India that is free of corruption. You have then, since then, included people like Mukul Roy in the party. You have not managed to bring anyone from the, and I quote the BJP here, CWG, 2G, Damadji, none of these people have been brought to book. Where is the Brashtachar Mukt Bharat? You've not brought in the Lokpal, you've not appointed a Lokpal. Where is the Brashtachar Mukt Bharat that was appointed to us? And I'm just asking you this question in response to your answer of innocent until proven guilty. Shouldn't politicians be held to a higher standard if you're going to make decisions for the rest of us?
It's an important question, Faye. Let me first answer on the merits. The first factor I'd like to place is that, is there a single corruption scam against the government? I mean, okay, you spoke of 2G and all the kind of Gs that happened, but is there any policy decision, whether it is in allocation of of natural resources, whether it is in terms of policy matters,
one could
any
argue,
question
Raphael,
against the Modi government?
One could argue, Raphael,
Mr.
Kohli.
No. Yes, sure. People, it's okay. It's again, yes, it's being argued, but show me the scam. It's a scam in a manufactured scam. That's our case. It's gone up to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court also junked it out. So I mean, there is not an end to it. No, there has to be closure
including
at the end of the
that
day.
was the answer on 2G as well.
Closure,
so
whether it is Gujarat riots or whether it is anything to do with Modi.
That was the answer on 2G as well.
You are interrupting me. I'm 15 seconds gap with you.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I know.
It happened. We had a CBI
I'm giving you
probe.
an answer to your question. I understand where you're coming from. Your concern and my concern is identical.
Yes.
As Indian citizens, we have a concern about criminalization of politics, and that's a serious concern. But at the same time, we can't also wake up and say we are in an ideal world. When we are in that ideal world, the ideal rules will work. So where are we today? Let's understand it. Today, when you say a higher standard, I said it as bluntly, I'll say it again. Winnability is there. You can't sit out in a room like this and plan for the future of the country if you don't make it to office, if you don't have a government. When you go into government, the question is, what's the agenda of that government? Has that government done anything to propagate ill, which is in terms of ensuring that criminals get away, ensuring scams are done? That this Modi government has not done. So the Modi government may have elements who have questions on it like any other government in terms of cases. I can tell you as a lawyer, and I'll say it bluntly again, that false cases in this country are filed against anybody. Anybody means anybody. They are filed in matrimonial disputes. They are filed in relationships, including the misuse of rape. They are filed in murder. That if you want to settle scores, even murder. So therefore, in a country, and the criminal justice system is so slow, it can take 5 years to 20. I have fought a case which has taken 40 years.
Okay. So Mr. Vasudev wants to rebut that. Mr. Vasudev, very quickly, go ahead, please. Very quickly.
And move in that direction.
Mr. Vasudev, very quickly, go ahead.
See, no, Mr. Kohli, I have a question here to all your political parties. Why is it that you must give political tickets? I use political tickets to even those persons who have cases pending against them of serious natures.
Yes.
The Congress has been giving them in the past. In your party, there are a large number of people who are accused. In the other parties, there are people who are accused of serious offences. Why do you give them tickets if you want a clear political system? If you want to have a clean political system? No political party wants to do without these elements because they have different ground controls. In order to retain that ground control at the hand of a person who can muster votes, these people are given votes.
Yes, winnability.
See them in Bihar, see them in UP, see them in Bengal, see them all over.
No.
Mr. Kohli, winnability, right? Winnability
it is because of the
over reputation.
And there are two parts to your answer. It's a fair question. No, it's not only winnability. I think there are two parts to Mr. Kailash Vasudev's question. The first is ground realities, and that's a fair comment. Because the ground realities of what we are, what in the city of Delhi or Mumbai in a different part of it is, and what it is 50 kilometers away and 500 kilometers away is different.
Everywhere,
India has different ground realities. We need to recognize those.
That's right.
We can't pretend our ground realities are the only realities.
Faye, I just want to say one word,
The second part is about the political parties denying tickets to such people. And I'll say that also, it is possible. It is possible. It can be achieved. But it calls for the will of every political party joining this. It can't be a one-way street.
No, you should be better than the rest, Mr. Kohli. I'm sorry. I refuse to accept that. Why can't you be better than everybody else? At the end of the day, you're asking for our votes. If you want, it's not collective, unanimity between all political parties. You should be better than everybody else. You should be the ones that take the first jump.
I would like to reply to Mr. Kohli. Can I do that?
Standard.
Okay, Shama Mohammed, you'll have to keep it quick.
If you don't let me speak. No. Yeah, but he talks about, there has not been a single scam. See, in our time, when there were allegations, we would ask the person to step down and a CBI pro was there. They do not do a CBI probe for any of them. They just ignore it. Even their party president's son, from 50,000 to 80 crore in a year. Nothing. I mean, on basic morality, he should have come out and had an investigation. I can tell you hundreds of scams.
But you can't. Okay, all right. We've run out of time.
So we are asking for an investigation.
I also want to point out to you. One second. All right. I want to point out that while Shama Mohammed says that at that time they would allow the CBI to function, the Supreme Court during the UPA 2 regime pointed out that the CBI was a caged parrot. That was under Shama Mohammed, your party. At the end of the day, the most disappointing outcome of what has happened over the last 48 hours is this. The policemen in central and state forces are being used as puppets by their political forces. And with every incident like this that plays out, the police is left with less and less credibility. Politicians are willing to turn anything into a political spectacle or a tamasha to gain ground. Where does that leave us as citizens and our faith in these police forces? How are we supposed to have faith in you? Who are we supposed to have faith with? Go back to the Supreme Court for everything? There are various arms to a democracy, and it just seems that we keep going back to the Supreme Court and the judiciary, and the other two arms aren't functioning as very well. We need to have faith, and we need to have our police forces have the credibility that wins our faith. Thanks for watching.